The new locker system at Knott's is here, and I don't like it. Knott's recently added lockers to 3 of their main roller coasters in an attempt to speed up loading time on the rides. The use of these lockers are mandatory, as you'll no longer be able to use the cubbies at the ride station to store your items. And these lockers are not free, which means you'll be spending extra money every time you visit from now on. And I know I'm slightly late to this, but I finally had the chance to check them out, and these were my initial impressions. Alright, so the lockers are right here. It's pretty cool. They have a little sign. The kiosk here is deemed, so I think I'm gonna go purchase a locker rental right now. You cannot see your ding. Okay, the screen is way too dark. I'm gonna this button says rent locker, $2. Rent for $2, boom. 2 hours. Okay, now it says swipe credit card. Beep. Create a 4-digit code. Okay, perfect. How come the numbers aren't in order? 036147. I'm gonna go with the tried and true. 1, 2. I use this one everywhere, even on my banking. All right, let's go. This passcode is too simple. These people. Okay, what do I actually do? 0099. Boom. Confirm the code. Oh, now it's normal. Okay, cool. Okay, and he gives you a locker number, 4142, and he gives you a receipt too. That's cool. All right, I found my locker. It's on the back side here. Now you punch in our pin. Did I forget my pin? Wait 1 second. Okay, I'm 0 IQ. I was 00099. There we go. Oh. it just locked in, so dude. It's like spring loaded. Cool. I don't know what to put in here because I'm gonna bring my phone with me, obviously. I'm gonna put in my AirPods. Boom. AirPods. Alright, this better be here when I'm back. Alright, let's go. Alright. Boom. Our stuff is still here. Wow! That's so cool. Oh, okay, I can hit the end rental button. And I guess it ends my rental for today or something. I have no clue. I don't know. I don't really care. I don't know why I was like so surprised when using the lockers. I mean, yeah, they work, of course. But yeah, anyways, I noticed that they allowed people to bring in drinks and hats, which was great because that kind of was one of my concerns in my previous video. So I'm glad that the next time I go, I'll not be dehydrated and I'll be able to carry a bottle of water with me. And those like extra things are still allowed to be stored on top of the cubbies, so you're still kind of using the on-station storage, but you're just going to be storing a lot less items, which hopefully means that people are going to be going through it way faster since they don't have to pick out a cubby. They just put it straight on top of it and go back to the seats. Now, this can definitely speed up the loading times, but only if the riders are cooperative with these new rules. And from what I saw when I was there, that was not 100% the case. So when I was riding the Silver Bullet, there was someone a few rows ahead of me arguing with the ride operator about a hat. And they were like literally sitting on the ride strapped in already. So they were literally trying to sneak their hat on with them or something. I don't know. But yeah, they were arguing with the ride operator and they were taking up a lot of time. So I'm sure that's going to be a very common occurrence from now on. And that's definitely going to negate any time savings that the locker system would have introduced. Interestingly, however, when I went on hang time, someone had their hat with them. And the ride operator just told them to sit on the hat. Or leave it on the cubby, but am I crazy? Does that not sound funny? Just sit on your hat? A concern I saw a lot of people have online was with glasses. Now, I mentioned this in my last video, but you can actually bring glasses onto rides as long as you have a glasses strap. This was something that was always allowed. And I got my glasses strap from Walmart. It was like $3, but I'm pretty sure they're sold in the park as well. I recall I saw them at like the Peanut headquarters and then Ghost Town. I think they're around like $7 or so, but like I said in that video, I highly recommend getting some, especially if you need the glasses to actually see, because that probably makes the ride a little more enjoyable, right? And the ones I bought and that are sold in the park are the types that you can put like really snugly onto you. There's like no chance they'll fly off. I've ridden almost all the rides in the park with them on, so I'd say it's a worthwhile investment. And I saw this comment on my previous video from an employee, so I'm gonna read it. It says, "Hello, I'm a Knott's merchandise employee.
Recently, I got shifted at the lockers at Silver Bullet. Like said in the FAQs, you don't have to buy the lockers. You could just leave your item with non-ready members. But people who didn't would just leave stuff stashed in the plants. A couple of people left their souvenir cups behind the locker kiosk. That's kind of crazy because you're allowed to bring in the drinks. I don't know why they would do that. They probably just didn't know. Yeah, they said, I personally would suggest that. Great way to get your stuff stolen. Yeah. One guy folded his baseball cap and shoved it in his shorts. And I shall clarify, if you have a bag with medical supplies or medication that you need, you can take it into the right station. And that is something I'm very glad to hear. One lady actually saw someone take their bag that was passed through because it had medical supplies, and she drew a toddler temper tantrum while her daughter watched in embarrassment. Ooh, that's kind of crazy. Karens, Karens, Karens. I wonder if anyone recorded that. Thank you, Hatchet, for leaving that comment. It's great to hear from an employee perspective. Now I'm gonna take a look at the Reddit where there's another post by an employee. Now this one talks about the public reactions to these upcharge lockers. They state that many guests have taken their anger out on us and the merchandise folks. We've had people curse at us, flip us off, and some even drill their bags into the queue to avoid the cost. I just want to say a huge shout out to all the employees who have to deal with this nonsense. They don't deserve any of it. And I work a public facing job too, so I know how people are. And I sympathize with them. They're just trying to enforce rules that they have to enforce. Also on the Reddit, I've seen like a lot of people talking about using like fanny packs and hiding it under their clothes just to sneak stuff on. That's kind of like crazy, just how many people want to try to get around this, because I feel like bringing a fanny pack is kind of risky, right? I'm not sure how secure they actually are, but there is a possibility like that. Maybe the ride restraint doesn't close properly if you're wearing a fanny pack, or maybe the fanny pack flies off during the ride. It just makes it more dangerous when you have people sneaking stuff on. And also doesn't make the lines go faster, because if a lot of people are trying to sneak stuff on, that means the ride operators have to slow down, make sure that no one has anything on them. And if they do, they have to take that stuff off them, force them to store on the station or whatever. And that's going to take up way more time with people arguing and all of that. So that has a real opportunity to make things just as slow as it was before. And I didn't really talk about like the locker placements. So the lockers for Silver Bullet are directly in front of the ride. That's fine. The one for Hang Time are good. They're actually like in the middle of the queue. You have to walk by them, right? I mean, you have to walk by the Silver Bullet ones too, but still. But the ones for Ghost Rider are like on the bottom floor of like the Ghost Rider building, and I'm like confused. So it wasn't open the day I went, so I'm not sure 100%. But like that room, it looks tiny, and I think you have to go before you enter the line, right? But man, that's just gonna be so chaotic having to deal with that. It definitely was not the most optimally placed. I mean, I don't know where they could have placed the lockers. There's like no other space in Ghost Town. I guess that'll make do. I would have hoped that they made it like double-sided, like where when you're inside the queue, you get access to one side of the lockers, and then when you exit the ride and go around, you can only access the other side. But you're able to put your stuff in from one side and access it from the other. And that kind of like is more of a seamless setup. But I don't think they would be able to fit that in that little space they had there. And I've yet to mention this, but this was basically like a hidden cost not shown to people before they purchase their pass. Not only for this year, but for next year as well, right? And yeah, I know that next year's passes were very discounted, but still, it's still gonna add up a lot if you need these lockers. So let's do the math. Let's imagine that every time I went, I wanted to rent some lockers because I have to bring a bag with me, for example. Well, I try to visit maybe like once a week. So we'll say I go 52 times in a year. And let's say I rent the lockers for about 4 hours total a day, right? Since I'm going so much, I don't have to stay all day. And I usually just stay long enough to get both meals in my meal plan. So for 4 hours, that would be $2 per 2 hours. So it'd be $4 times 52, which would be $208 for a whole year. That's a lot of extra money I would have to spend that I'm not immediately thinking of when I'm buying the season pass, for example. So I feel the real solution here is try not to bring a bag if you don't have to. The only thing I'm worried about is how am I going to get sunscreen on me? I know someone left a comment in my previous video saying, hey, just apply the sunscreen before you enter the park. But come on, sunscreen doesn't last all day, and especially if you're out in the sun the whole time, so I'll have to think about this one. So what's the best strategy then to avoid using the lockers? Well, when I visit without a bag, I usually wear shorts that have zippered pockets. Zippered pockets are important because if you want to go on rides, the stuff in your pockets aren't going to fly out. And I know you could try using like the buttoned pockets if you have those kind of cargo pants, but I would feel way more safer if they were zippered, right? And then essentially you just fill whatever fits in your pockets comfortably. So I usually just bring my keys and my phone, maybe AirPods. And since you're allowed to bring a water bottle with you, yeah, you could bring a water bottle, water canteen, whatever. I guess that would be fine too, since you don't have to store it in the locker. And if you like me, like bringing glasses, then make sure you bring a strap for those so that you can actually bring those on the ride and wear them. So yeah, lockers are a cool idea. Being forced to use them and having to pay for them, not so much. I would love to hear your opinions and experiences with this down below. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you for all the support, I really appreciate it. And before I go, this is a little off topic, but the day I recorded this was absolutely the worst day I've ever had at Knott's. Ghost Rider and Accelerator were down for maintenance. I knew that before going in, so that wasn't really a big issue, but man, that day was just so hot. Literally, I don't know why, I just have a knack for picking the hottest days to visit, apparently. At one point, I was trying to ride the Silver Bullet, and I was literally exceeded. I was sitting in the back row, it was gonna be awesome. I had my restraints down, locked in, and I don't know what happened. Something malfunctioned with one of the other row's restraints, and they kicked everyone off the ride, and then the ride was closed for maintenance. And then I began to have like a crazy headache. So because I had this huge headache, I decided, hey, I'm gonna go to the VIP lounge, because, you know, it's nice and cool in there. But when I went there, I found out that they were like doing renovation or something. I don't know what was up. Like most of the seating was gone, and it was like what few seating they had left was like almost all taken. I had to sit like at this chair that wasn't even at a table. It was just like sitting in the corner by like a plant. So I sat there to regenerate, and I don't know, I just felt bleh the whole time. Very unfortunate day. And you know what? I blame the lockers.